Meanwhile, it is Martin Luther King Day. It is a holiday. It's an official day of service and celebration of the civil rights leader's life and legacy. Joe Biden, as we have been talking about, he's going to be sworn in as the nation's 46th president in 2 days. Today, he was in Philadelphia, where he and future First Lady Jill Biden volunteered at Philabundance, the region's largest hunger relief group. Meanwhile, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, who resigned her Senate seat today, and husband Doug Emhoff volunteered at Martha's Table in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump and Melania, no public schedule on Martin Luther King. They were home packing or watching TV, whatever they were doing. But they did absolutely nothing to celebrate his life, his legacy, or what he stood for. Now, across the nation, it's not surprising, is it, Yo-Yo and Vanessa?
I was about to say, there's no surprise
No
there.
surprise there, right? Why even waste my breath anymore, right? Now, across the nation, marches, parades, and other events to mark the holiday honoring Martin Luther King have been canceled, unfortunately, because of COVID. Many events moved online. But as we talked about at the top of the hour, right here, in bold, bold letters, it says, Brad, this is the most important thing to remember on Martin Luther King. We will have our first female black vice president of the United States of America.
Yes.
That was a dream that Martin Luther King certainly had, that all men and women are created equal. We vote in and we put as our leaders the best, and it has nothing to do with the color of their skin or where they were born. So that was absolutely part of his dream. KQED Perspectives has a series of 2-minute personal testimonies about Dr. Martin Luther King's legacy for diversity. One of these were by author Lee Mal Lovett, a Chinese immigrant who arrived after the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. As a matter of fact, this is actually interesting and actually also very true. Lovett wrote that on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, she celebrates the civil rights movement that helped foster the historic opening of immigration laws. President Johnson spoke of lifting the bars of discrimination against immigrants. It was Vice President Hubert Humphrey urged us to bring our immigration law into line with the spirit of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The following year, the Hart-Celler Act opened the doors to people coming from China, India, Brazil, Pakistan, lifting the ethnic bans and quotas that existed for over 40 years. There was, prior to that, they had quotas based on Western Hemisphere and non-Western Hemisphere. So and that was how quotas were done for immigration. So how did Western Hemisphere work? Who's in the Western Hemisphere? It's Europeans. So it was actually the civil rights movement that caused the diversification of immigration into the United States of America in 1965. So they're absolutely right. All as a result of the work of MLK and the other civil rights leaders of that generation. It was the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1960. My grandfather, Harry Spar, was, Spar and Bernstein. He got into immigration law right at that time in 1965, because prior to that, he was an immigration lawyer prior to that, but he was doing immigration. He was just doing a little bit of everything. But it was that law that allowed Harry Spar, eventually become Spar and Bernstein, to practice solely immigration law, because you couldn't practice solely immigration law. There wasn't enough clients to do it until then.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. It's so interesting to see how things change over time. And then there's you, Uncle Brad.
And here we are. And here we are. Right. I mean, because if it wasn't for that law and Martin Luther King and all the civil rights, we wouldn't even have a Brad Show live right now.
Wow.
Right? Think about it. Because then Harry Spar would not have gone into immigration law. Then I would not have been inspired to go into immigration law. And then we wouldn't be here today.
Right.
I wouldn't have even known you. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.